Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Luke Ness Monster, and this is my review of the Star Wars The Black Series RC-1138, or in other words, Boss. And this is a figure from the Gaming Greats line, of course, which means it is a Gaming Greats exclusive, but it's also from a video game that I really love, my favorite video game of all time, and that is Republic Commando. So I'm super happy to be bringing you guys this review. Starting off with a close look at the box, we do of course have the Star Wars Republic Commando, I guess, like emblem on the front there, and of course it does say RC-1138 Boss, looking really good. A nice shiny metallic Gaming Greats logo. Flipping it over to the side, we have a game accurate I guess photo of Boss here, and it looks absolutely incredible. One thing that I can't get over is some of the inaccuracies of this figure, which I will definitely jump a lot into in this video, but the side box art gets this figure perfect. It has the proper armor, it has the right scale weapon, and honestly the side of the box here looks absolutely incredible. And yeah, so I'll definitely get into all the flaws this figure has later in the video, but I did want to point out just how accurate the actual like art for it is, and not the figure. But flipping it over to the back, we do have that same image here. You can pause and read the bio if you would like. It is number 7 in the Gaming Greats line, and I absolutely love seeing that Republic Commando logo on this box. Like I said, I'm a huge Republic Commando fan, and it's nice to just see this on some sort of Black Series figure. So cannot wait for the rest of Delta Squad. I know Fixer is now confirmed, and I cannot wait for Sev and Scorch as well. So yeah, not a whole lot going on that side, so let's go ahead and crack this guy open and see what he looks like. So we do have Boss out of the box here, and I gotta say, he is a lot better in hand than I originally thought. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for this figure, I really didn't, but having it in hand, I am a lot more impressed than I thought I would be. For context though, going into this figure, there is a lot of controversy. The original promo shots had his orange armor much redder than it was supposed to be. And of course, the main controversy is that it reuses the Hunter body, which is essentially the same armor, but it's just underscaled. It's not it's not as beefy and bulky as the original Commando suit. And so a lot of people were pretty upset about that. But honestly, having it in hand, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I know some people were saying use the Wrecker mold instead, but I will do a comparison between this and the Wrecker mold, and I can just show you that it really wouldn't work. But again, that'll come in just a minute or two. But yeah, now that he's had a good minute or so on the spinny stand, I want to take him off and take a close look at all the things that I really like about this figure, and then we'll take a close look at all the things that I don't like. So first up, I do want to go over articulation before we do get into the pros and cons. And so yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. His head is on a ball at the top of the head and at the bottom of the neck, so he does have a ton of articulation and go all the way around. Anything you could get a head in, he can do. Of course, his arms can go up, and he can, well, if I don't throw the backpack off, he can T-pose, I guess, if you would like him to, which is pretty cool. His arms do go all the way around. These little shoulder pads here are rubber, so they're not gonna snap on you, but they are on a little O-ring that is inside the socket here, and so they will spin with it, but you gotta make sure you spin that O-ring with it as well, or it could get jammed and bent and all stuff like that. It could snap, so be careful with that. Of course, he does get a super good articulation on the elbow here. Super cool. His wrists do swivel. The left wrist does have a horizontal hinge, and the right wrist has a vertical hinge. Here at the, I guess, abdomen area, he does have, I believe he's on a ball here, so he can go all the way around. No waist articulation, but that's alright. His legs can kick all the way up, and his knees do come all the way down. This is about as far out as he can splits, whatever you want to call it. Then he does have a hinge and rocker at the ankles. Very small rocker. The edges of the foot do get in the way a little bit, but it is good enough for government work. So first up, going over all the things that I like about this figure. The orange color here was controversial at first, but honestly it is the perfect shade of orange, almost exactly like the game, and I do really like that. But honestly, the paint apps on this figure are absolutely incredible. this figure has weathering, not just paint chipping, it also has weathering, which is a figure that, or not a figure, but like a thing that we don't see on a ton of figures anymore. But yeah, they did bring back weathering, and it does look absolutely incredible. We do have a little bit of like white spackle, I don't know what to call it, splatter, whatever you want to call it there. And so that's supposed to be weathering there as well, and that threw me off at first, and that's only because it's not the same shade of white as the rest of the armor. So that does throw me off a little bit, so I do wish it was a more like creamier white. But other than that, the weathering is great. But some of the paint apps and like small details on this figure are absolutely incredible. The little I guess pieces here on the helmet, the little like silver and gray pieces on the helmet just have a ton of detail in the mold and the paint, and it just looks absolutely incredible. Something I could never get on my own custom. And of course, I do love the visor too. It is a nice metallic blue, and it definitely gives it a sort of like light up effect, and I do really like it. And of course, like I said, it does have the paint chipping as well, which gives it a nice weathered, used look. And then flip it over to the back here, of course, we do have the silver on this backpack. Something I didn't even know existed for the figure, but it looks really, really cool. Nice, shiny, metallic-y silver. Something that, like, that type of paint you really wouldn't see unless if it's a carbonized figure, so it's nice to see that on a normal figure. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things I don't like about this figure. So my first problem is that the weapon is undersized. Here is the one that comes with the figure, and it's alright. It's a cool looking commando blaster, but like I said, it's just reused from Hunter, and it is dramatically underscaled. Here is an accurate sized one that I actually got resin printed. And as you can see, like the scale difference, it's not like a ton, but it helps a lot. They're not very expensive to go and like buy a resin printed version of it, so I do highly suggest you go do that if you want to. But yeah, it looks so much better in their hand, because in their hand it's like this guy in big armor holding a little itty bitty blaster, and it looks kind of lame. And I think the larger blaster adds to that bulkiness effect that everybody loves. So I think a bigger blaster would have been nice. And for example, here he is holding that blaster. Looks really good, and I think just looks so much better than that little itty bitty blaster. Another thing that I really don't like is just the lack of accessories. It's not a huge deal, but it's something with a figure like Boss here. He uses more than just one weapon in the game. He uses all the weapons in the game, but one that he uses a lot is the commando pistol. I also have one of these that is resin printed, but you know, it's just a little itty bitty pistol, and it's something they could have thrown in, and it would have just helped the figure a lot. He uses it a lot in the game, one of his primary weapons, and I think it would have been a nice addition to this figure. Another thing I don't like is the little hole here that is on the wrist from, I guess, the absence of Hunter's knife sheath. That was molded in here, but of course, since the commandos don't have a knife sheath, they just take that off, and it leaves a little hole in the arm. In my actual custom version of this, I took a Hunter body and painted it, so I just ripped out that knife sheath. I'm having trouble pronouncing that, but as you can tell, I actually filled it in, and it looks a lot better. So I think that is an easy fix if you do want to do some filling and painting, but I don't think that you should have to do that. It should come with the figure, but, you know, again, not a huge deal. I'm just nitpicking here. And now here's the biggest problem, I think, in my opinion, that a lot of people have been waiting for me to say, and that is the fact that it reuses the Hunter molds. Some people are saying it's not bulky enough, it's not big enough, and honestly, I could disagree, but I do agree it is not as beefy as I would like it. But honestly, I'm not too upset about it. I know some people are saying use the Wrecker mold, but Wrecker is a much bigger character. He's a beefier character, not just a small character wearing beefy armor. And it just doesn't work. The armor is inaccurate, and I will show that here in just a second. But I am actually glad they did use that Hunter body. There is one thing I wish they would have remolded. And that main piece that I think needs remolded is the chest piece right here. And the only thing on here that I think needs remolded, I guess maybe you can make it a little bit wider, but is this, I guess, like neck piece right here. That is just extremely inaccurate in the game. This the armor actually cuts off here, and this all right here is like a black undersuit. I will show you guys the box for example. Like I said, right here, this big like black ring right here is supposed to be where this orange is, and it just makes it look like the figure has no neck. That's the big problem I have. And honestly, they didn't even have to mold this chest piece new. They literally could have just painted this piece black. People would have complained, I think, because they're like, well, you just painted it black, you didn't remold it. But I think it still would have looked better than what we got with this. I do agree that the addition of this orange paint here gives that armor a little bit more of a bulkier look. But at the end of the day, I do think to make this figure just look proportionately better, some black paint right here would have looked a little bit better. And for comparison, here is my custom that I made about a year ago. As you can tell, I did, if I don't knock him over, I did actually paint this part black, and I think we can all agree that the proportions on this guy just look a little bit better. He looks a lot slimmer, I do agree, so I do think that that orange there makes him look bulkier. But I do think that the black paint there just makes the armor look a lot more accurate. But I will be doing a full comparison between my custom and the actual Hasbro version later this week if you do want to check that out. But yeah, overall, those are my main problems with the figure. Honestly, this figure turned out a lot better than I thought it would. From those original promo shots, it did have a lot of flaws, but I think it came out better than a lot of people thought it would. And like I said, I would compare this to the Wrecker mold, and here it is. So I think from the waist down, the Wrecker mold actually works pretty well. It's not the most accurate, but it's a lot better than some of the other stuff on this figure, and I think it would get the job done. So I think the legs are alright. Of course, you would have to get rid of the sheath here, but that's not a super huge deal. I think one big problem is, of course, the arms. The arms are just not as accurate when it comes to, like, the of course, gauntlets here. Of course, Wrecker does have the elbow pads, and that's something that this figure really needs, is the elbow pads. But his elbow pads are still not accurate either. So, of course, you could use it, but like I said, it's just not accurate. Another thing is, of course, from the arms or the shoulder pads, you'd have to use a different type of shoulder pad because those are just not accurate. Then I also think that this figure just, like, his undersuit here, there, you see it stick through. He's just a bulkier character in general. It's not like he's a skinny guy like this guy wearing bulky armor. No, he's just a bigger guy, and I think that suits his character, but I don't think it would suit a Boss character, because Boss isn't a big, bulky guy. He's just a guy wearing bulky armor, and I just don't think using this Wrecker mold would work super well. Boss isn't that thick. But I think the main concern for me is this chest overlay. I know, for me, I was complaining that you couldn't see enough undersuit with this one. People were saying just repaint this one and give it a new helmet, but of course, this one literally has a turtleneck around the helmet, so of course you wouldn't see any undersuit there. It would look super weird, and I think that would not work very well at all. But of course, you could just throw a commando helmet on and see how it looks. But like I said, I think this big chest piece here, it literally has a turtleneck. It goes all the way around the back of the head here. I do not think that would work at all. They would have to make a brand new chest mold. And at that point, I'd say just use the Hunter body because it looks more accurate. But anyway, guys, that is just my thoughts on this Black Series boss figure. I'm really glad we got in the line. Like I said, I'm a huge Republic Commando fan, and I'm just happy we're getting some Black Series representation of the figure. I think if we didn't get a reuse of the Hunter body, we wouldn't have got this figure at all. So like I said, I think I am really happy with what we got. I do think that the addition of some of these resin printed weapons are a huge plus. Like I said, the bigger blaster and then the pistol are really cool, and they just make a ton of difference when added to the figure. But yeah, I cannot wait to get the rest of Delta Squad. Fixer's already confirmed, Sev has been leaked, and Scorch is all but announced at this point. So yeah, I cannot wait to get the rest of Delta Squad. And honestly, I know one thing that Fallen Order does in the Gaming Greats line is they do a lot of bad guys. They do Stormtrooper variants and Night Brother variants and stuff like that. And that's something I want to get in the Republic Commando line as well. I want a Super Battle Droid, which of course we haven't got yet, so we couldn't get that yet. But I'd like a Super Battle Droid. I'd want the Republic Commando version of the normal just B1 Battle Droid. I think that is it's more of a grayish, oily looking battle droid, and it's pretty iconic to Republic Commando, so I'd like to get maybe that version of the droid in the Gaming Greats line. But yeah, just give me stuff like that. Give me some, I guess you could say, army builder bad guys, kind of like they do with the Fallen Order line. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.